Good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And for 18 years now, we have been helping people do just that, eliminate all of their debt. Did you know that the average person, average family has about 13 different debts? And not only that, but they pay out approximately 35 to 39% of their take-home pay on just interest alone. So the thing that we need to do to understand about how to manage debt and how to get rid of it is to focus on the interest cost of owning the debt, the interest cost of managing the debt. So just focusing on when we're going to have the debt paid off, folks, that's how you pay way more interest than you need to. So listen, if you're in the room right now, if you are with us on Clubhouse, all right, good morning to all of you. Good morning to all of you. And we've got people online that's watching us. Good morning, Charles. He is watching us on, Charles is watching us on YouTube. All right. And so go ahead. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. Let me put my subscribe button on there so we can actually do that. Go ahead and subscribe to the P.I.L.L Method. And, you know, if you do that, all right, upper right hand corner there, go ahead and subscribe and like the videos and comment on the videos. We love it when you comment and ask questions. So if you are in Clubhouse this morning, go ahead, raise your hand, come to the stage. Let's go ahead and invite more people into this room this morning to talk about what we're going to be going over today. Oh my goodness. Have you ever heard of people putting together monies to put into the bank? There's two things that we want to talk about today: sinking funds, number one, and how people are putting money away for, emergency funds. Have you ever heard that you need to have about 6 months of expenses in the bank as emergency funds? Can I just give you, just to set the tone, if you want to see what we're talking about, go to Zoom. All right. Go to Zoom. I'm sorry, not Zoom, but go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. And when you go to YouTube, search for P.I.L.L Method. And I'm going to be putting something on the screen so that you can better understand what I'm talking about. I was talking to a banker, a junior VP in his office in a bank downtown Huntsville. All right. And he was a proponent, he was listening to some people talking about having 6 months of expenses in his bank account just in case there was a loss of income or something like that. Now, I'm going to be talking about sinking funds, and I'm also going to be talking about putting money away for emergency funds as well. But I also want you to know that we had this show planned for today before we heard about what's happening with Mr. Dave Ramsey. So this is not in response to that information that he's being sued. We were going to talk about this information anyway, how inefficient having all that money sitting in the bank is. So we're going to be talking about sinking funds. But first of all, let's talk about, just give you an idea. What we're talking about is when you have money sitting in the bank as emergency funds. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have emergency funds available and on the go and ready to go and pull that trigger on it. But I'm going to say something here that most people probably would not agree with. I believe that once you get yourself established, that a lot of your emergency funds should be on credit cards. All right. So we've got Stringer wants to come up to the stage. All right. Invite to speak. Now, I may be a little slow on the draw getting people up to the stage and everything, but because we don't have an engineer here today. I'm doing both sides of the show. Okay. So, Stringer Bell, how are you doing?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored, man. How's everything going on?
Listen, man, everything is going well, going well. Do you have a question or a comment this morning?
Oh, man, I just always love to be in the vicinity of a wise mind, and information that you drop, man, is very exponential imperative. So I definitely just glad to be in the building.
Listen, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you this morning. So go ahead now. For all of you that are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, that voice you heard was coming from our connection with Clubhouse. So I need to know if you can hear Mr. Stringer Bell. I got Charles in here. I got Tamara Staley in here. Could you hear him clearly? I want to make sure that our connections are good. So if I can get some feedback on anybody that's speaking from Clubhouse, please let us know if you can hear them clearly. I have few people in here that are watching us online. So let's go ahead and say good morning and tell us where you're from. And then I'll jump right into the first example. Tell us where you're from. Just say good morning in the chat. And I'm going to do that over here. Good morning. And I'm also going to do it. All right. Tamara Saley said the volume is low. The volume is low. All right. I am sorry about that. So I'm going to see if I can get that turned up for you. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to say good morning over here. All right. All right, there you go. Good morning, everyone. And tell us where you're from. Go ahead and tell us where you're from. So Brian Mott says good morning over in Clubhouse. And we have Tamara Staley. She says good morning. All right. And there you go. All right, so we're going to invite you to join the club. So listen, if you're in Clubhouse right now and you've got a red ticket, go ahead and cash that red ticket in. Cash that red ticket in by clicking on P.I.L.L method at the top of the room. Click on P.I.L.L method at the top of the room. And then when you do that, what you're going to do is then join our wait list. And then we will let you in to the club so that whenever we're online, whenever we're in Clubhouse, you will be notified. Now, also, if you're watching us online, all right, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, so you want to follow us there or subscribe to us there, if those are your favorites, and then click that notification bell. Anytime that we're on, you will be notified. And we'll see that. So Charles is from North Carolina. Tamara Staley is from Maryland. Good morning to you all. All right. So we have a few more people here on Clubhouse coming in. All right. Good morning, Vanessa Walker. All right. And Stringer is from Chicago. Brian Mott says good morning. All right. So let's jump in. Let's go ahead and jump in to that first example. And if you have a question or a comment, go ahead and raise your hand. If you want to see what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see it, then what you want to do is go to YouTube on a secondary device. And once you get to YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. And you'll be able to see the example that we're getting ready to put on the screen right about now. So let me go ahead and change up and so you can see what we're getting ready to do here. So we're going to put that on and then we're going to share. Boom. We're going to add that. So I've got on the screen right now, amortization schedule, $400,000. Now, this young man that I was talking to had a $400,000 mortgage, but at the time I was talking to him, the interest rate was only 4%. So we're going to put in 4%. Okay. We're going to put that in at 4%. And then we're going to have a new payment amount. All right. A new payment amount of, all right, his payment was $1,909.66 at the time. So here's what he was saying. Because of how much money he makes, he was needing to put $36,000 in the bank, $36,000 in the bank so that he could have 6 months worth of expenses in the bank ready to go if something were to happen. All right. And so, and I talked to him. I said, now, how many of you have actually heard that? So give me some feedback here on Clubhouse or online. How many of you have heard that you need to have 6 months worth of money, of expenses set back in the bank, cash, and just in case of an emergency funds, just in case you or your spouse loses their job or something like that? How many have heard that? All right, go ahead and put that in the chat. All right. Also, go ahead and put it in the comment section if you're watching us online. All right. So we have somebody that says good morning from Facebook even. Thank you so much. So yes, Tamara Staley said at least 6 months of an emergency fund and 6 to 9 months. She goes on to say 6 to 9 months emergency fund. Now, I'm not saying we should not have an emergency fund. All right. What I'm saying is we may need to do it a different way once we understand how our money actually works. All right. So let's take a look at what we have here. All right. So what I was telling the young man is this. I said, if you have 6 months of cash available to you, all right, and how much is your bank paying interest? All right, your bank, how much is your bank paying you in interest for keeping that money in a savings account? 1/10 of 1%. 1/10 of 1%. Listen, folks, that's hardly no money at all. When is the last time you looked at your bank statement? And when you looked at it and you saw how much money you're earning on your money in a savings account, even if it's a money market account, are you satisfied? You tell me, are you satisfied with the amount of money your bank is paying you, no matter what kind of account you have it in? Put a yes or a no in the chat right now. Are you satisfied with the interest you're earning on your money in the bank? Yes or no? Put it in the chat right now. Let me see what you guys got to say to me. Tamara Staley says, I'm making pennies. She says, no, I'm making pennies on the money. And this is what the experts are telling us. Keep that money in the bank so that you can be ready for your emergencies. So here's what I asked the guys, and you tell me if this makes sense to you. All right. So I said, listen, if you have $36,000 saved up, let me show you on your mortgage. So I had him pull it up Brett Whistle. This is Brett Whistle, BRETWHISSEL. I had him pull up Brett Whistle here in his office. All right. And I said, put your mortgage in. So he put his mortgage in just like this, 400,000 at 4%. Here was his mortgage payment. And then I said, now, first of all, let's take a look at how much interest you need to pay on this mortgage. $287,000 on a $400,000 mortgage. I said, first of all, does that look like 4% to you? He says, no. All right. And I pointed out over to the right here that the total interest paid as a percentage of principal is 71.869, nearly 72% of what he borrowed. The bank wants an interest on his mortgage, and he had his mortgage at his same bank. All right. So here's the thing. He's paying out 71% while his money is sitting in the bank making pennies. That should have been the first clue. He's paying his own bank 71% of what he borrowed, and they get to call it 4%, while his money sitting in the bank is making pennies. You tell me, folks, does that seem fair to you? All right, just on the face of it, does it even seem right? So let's get down into the nitty gritty. Let's put some numbers on the screen. Let's do just a little bit of math. So here's what I showed him first. I showed him the benefit of prepaying, how to prepay principal. Now, the P.I.L.L method What it stands for is prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about prepayment of principal, and we're going to be talking about liquidity and how all of that fits together in this conversation today. So here's what we're saying. In this very first payment, $576.33 goes to principal, $1,333 goes to interest. First of all, don't you think that's a lot of money going to interest? If you're new to the room and you want to see these examples, go to YouTube, search P.I.L.L method, and we're going to show you how to make 200% on your money. Stop leaving it in the bank. All right. So here's what we're talking about. If we do this, $576 goes to principal, $1,333 goes to interest. When you borrow money from the bank to purchase your house, what they're actually doing is purchasing your equity in your house. They own it. They own your equity now. And what you're doing by getting a mortgage is that you're purchasing your equity back a little bit at a time. And here is how much it costs. So when you make your very first payment, you're purchasing $576.33 of your equity back. But because they're charging you 4% interest on a $400,000 loan, this is how much it costs: $1,333.33 just to purchase $576.33 of your equity. Folks, is that a lot of money or what? Cost me $1,300 to purchase $576 of my equity back. All right. And then the next month, it doesn't get much better. I'm going to pay $1,331.41 in interest to purchase another $578.25. So if I look at cumulative principal and cumulative interest, all right, in the first, that's column 3 and column 4, in the first 2 months, I purchased back $1,154.58 of my equity, but it cost me $2,664.74 in interest to do that. Oh my goodness. Here's what his own bank was doing to him, and he wasn't even realizing it because at that time, that 4% interest rate was about the best you could get at the time. Okay. So he was really happy with his interest rate until I pointed out to a banker what was actually going on with his mortgage. So I said, now you need to understand what prepayment of principal will actually do for you. So if you make your very first payment in January, then your next principal payment for February is on line 2 of your schedule. That would be $578.25. So I asked him, if you make this first payment in January, do you have to wait till February to give the bank that $578.25? He said, no. If you had it, could you actually give it to the bank in January? He said, yes, I could. And I said, well, every dime of that money go to principal. He said, yes, it would. Let me show you what happens when you do. If you make this payment in January and then give the bank another $578.25 also in January on top of your regular payment, you're paid down to line 2 on your amortization schedule. This is your new principal balance, $398,845.42. And the bank uses this number to calculate your interest payment on your very next payment or the very next line of your schedule. So the very next line of your schedule would be line 3. That would be his new payment. So the payment for March actually moves up on when he pays the $578, if he were to pay the $578.25 early. All right. Now you still have a mortgage payment every month and it doesn't change. But what he did was, by paying the $578.25, he eliminated one line from his mortgage and saved himself $1,331.41 in interest he never has to pay. Does that make sense to everybody? I want to make, excuse me, I got to get a drink of water. All right, I'm back. Okay, so does that make sense to everybody? That he actually is going to save $1,331 in interest he doesn't have to pay with that $578.25 that he's prepaying. Now, here's the thing. That was the same money he was sitting in the bank making 1/10 of 1%. $578.25 was making pennies for him sitting in the bank in his savings account. But by taking it out of the bank and applying it to the mortgage as a prepayment, it actually made him $1,331.41 in savings. So it was Benjamin Franklin said that a penny saved is a penny earned. So if you could take that money and invest it and get $1,331.41, all right, as a result of it, meaning I don't have to pay that now. His overall interest cost just went down by over $1,300. Dang, how does that sound to you guys? How does that sound to you guys? That little bit of money can actually, while sitting at the bank, makes him pennies, but if he puts it on his mortgage, let me show you the math on that. Remember, this is about making 200% return on your money. So if he takes that, I'm going to put this on my calculator on the screen. All right. So if he's going to save himself $1,331 and that he doesn't have to pay, that is going to be the result of him prepaying. I invest this. I get to keep $1,300 that I don't have to pay. Folks, that's as good as making it. Lord have mercy. Let's put it down here. 13. This is going to be his result. 1331.41. We're going to divide that by what he invested into his mortgage, $578.25. So we're going to divide it by 578.25 equals 2.302. You move the decimal point two places. Okay. Then it becomes 230% return on his money. 230% return on your money. Ladies and gentlemen, where else are you going to be able to take money out of the bank that's making 1/10 of 1% and put it somewhere where it's going to give you a result of over 200% in your mortgage? Stop looking at prepaying your mortgage as coming up with extra money. Listen, let's dismiss that myth right now. When you prepay, you're not paying extra money. You're paying what you owe. If you borrow $400,000, okay, then the bank wants their $400,000 back. Okay, now the interest is something else, but I'm talking about the principal. The principal is $400,000. You're not going to pay back more than $400,000 in principal. You're going to pay the extra is called interest. So anytime you pay so-called quote unquote extra, you're just paying back what you owe, but you're paying it back with your own timing. You're paying it back in a way that it benefits you more. Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing sacred about paying monthly. Paying your bills or paying your debt monthly, there's nothing sacred about that. What's really going on here is that you entered into a contract to borrow $400,000, and you're completely in control. When you have your money, you're completely in control of how you choose to pay the $400,000 back. You can pay it back monthly if you choose. And if you pay it back monthly for 360 months, if you do that monthly, then you're going to pay in interest because of that $287,400 $477.60 if your interest rate is 4%. That's what it was then. It's not that now. It's between 6 and 7% now. You can imagine what it would be. And we can go over that in just a few minutes. So here's what I need you to understand. He was keeping his money in the bank and he didn't understand what happens when he prepays. Most people don't. They don't know what actually happens when you prepay, not even people who work in the bank. He didn't realize that by giving this $578.25 early, it was going to save him $13.31 and give him a 230% return on his money. He did not realize that at all. Not at all. If you want to see what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, go to YouTube, search P.I.L.L method, and find our live and click on it. And when you get there, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's talk about that $36,000 he is keeping in the bank. Okay, $36,000 he's keeping in the bank as his emergency fund, just in case his he or his spouse could not work, a full 40-hour job, or, they got laid up or laid off or downsized, or something happened, got sick and couldn't work. There are a myriad of things that could happen. And having that safety cushion of $36,000 was important to him. All right. Gabor Seabach. Hey, Gabor Seabach. It's good morning to you, sir. I haven't talked to you in such a long time. You need to call the office. Ladies and gentlemen. So I get so happy when I see people come in that I know. All right. It just gets me excited. All right. So good morning to you, sir. All right. So here's what I want to get back to this. All right. $36,000. I asked him, I said, now that you know that prepaying $578.25 would save you all this money, what would happen if you prepaid that $36,000? I want to show you. By putting that money, keeping that money in the bank, it was making him pennies. By putting that money on the mortgage, here's what we're talking about. Let me scroll down to, I'm looking at cumulative principal here. Cumulative principal. If you put that money on your mortgage, $36,000, do you realize that knocks off 57 payments off your mortgage? Okay. 48 months. That's 4 years. 4 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. 4 years and 9 months. It knocks off your mortgage. And the interest savings is over $70,000, about $71,000. Now, I said, if you keep that $36,000 in your bank account, is it going to make for you $71,000 in 4.5 years? Even the banker had to say no. It's not going to make him that much money. It's going to make him pennies while it's sitting there waiting for something to go wrong. And guess what, folks? Most times, nothing that catastrophic is going to happen. Most times. So I've got that money sitting there just in case something goes wrong. But if I use that money to put on the mortgage, I could knock off 4.5 years, more than 4.5 years, and save $71,000. So that money can actually, if you're listening to Benjamin Franklin, a penny saved is a penny earned. Well, I'm telling you, that's a $71,000 benefit all day. Okay, so let's do the math on that. So we're going to put in 71,552. Okay, and 53 cents. We're going to prepay 36,112.82. So we're going to divide that by 36,112.82. Boom, equals, look at there, 1.85. That's 185% return on his money. 185%. Now that's at 4% what it was then. It's way more now. It's way more now since your interest rates are 6 and 7%. Folks, does this make sense to you? Now, you may be thinking, so Don, if he uses up his emergency fund to put on his mortgage, then what is he going to do if something happens? Did that question come to mind? Did that question come to your mind? I see you in there, Steve. I see you today. Okay, don't be hiding in the audience. All right. So if you thought about that, put a number 9 in the chat because I got an answer for that. If you thought about it and you want an answer to if he uses that money, his reserve money to put on his mortgage, what is he going to do if something goes wrong? Put a number 9 in the chat if you want an answer to that question. A number 9. Listen, let me see it. Put a number 9 in the chat if you want this. Steve Max says, I want to know. How about it? Okay. And who else? All right. Tamara Staley online says, I want to know. Tell me what happens when he does that. Okay. So here's what I asked him. I said, sir, you've got some equity now. You got equity. All right. You got equity in your property. And if you have enough equity, can you get an equity line of credit for $36,000? Says Rhinita Perry says, I want to know too. She's watching this on Facebook. Good morning to you, madam. All right. So he says, well, yeah, I work at the bank. I can get I can get a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. He could get a lot more. Okay. But let's just say he can get $50,000. So that's at least his $36,000. And I said to him, will you have, if you get that line of credit, will you have $36,000 available to you? He said, yes, I would. And then I asked him, I said, how much is it going to cost you to have the $36,000 available to you? He says, nothing, because I only pay interest on what I actually borrow. So in other words, you had $36,000 sitting in the bank waiting for something to happen, and you are only making pennies. But what I showed you here is that if you put it on your mortgage, it would save you $71,000. So that money sitting in the bank was actually costing you $71,000. Come on, everybody. Come on. That money was actually costing you $71,000 by sitting in the bank. So if you have money sitting, then it's not costing you anything until you borrow it. Then isn't that a good thing? He said, well, yes, until you need to borrow it. But now I have to pay it back. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about that. Now he posed a good question here. If I borrow the money, I've got to pay it back. All right. Charged up Chubbs is giving me some lightning bolts there. Do you like that? Do you like that information, everybody? Do you like that? Okay. So here's what we're saying, ladies and gentlemen. Watch this, because this is getting exciting now. All right. So he says, what if I have to borrow that money and pay it back? Let me show you what happens when we do. All right. So I'm going to pull up another amortization schedule, and we're going to take a look at that. Let's just say he's got to borrow all he gets he breaks a leg or gets hurt or something, and he can't work for 6 months. So he's going to exhaust his $36,000 in his emergency fund, but his emergency fund has now been switched over to a loan. Okay, has now been switched over to a loan. And his HELOC, he's got a HELOC now, and he's going to borrow $36,000 from it because he's got to pay his bills. All right, so now there we go. Now he took $36,000 out of the bank, put it on his mortgage, and saved 71 grand in interest. Okay, so let's not forget that. He's already done that. Saved 71 grand in interest and knocked off over 4.5 years off his mortgage. Now he gets sick or something happens and he can't work for 6 months. And he's going to spend $36,000 out of the HELOC. And now he's back to work. Now he has to pay that back. Now, he was able to save that because of the kind of money he makes, he and his wife make. All right. He can save that money in a relatively short time, but let's just give him 5 years to pay that back at 6% interest. At 6% interest. Here's his payment. Uh-oh. I got too much money in there. Take that out. I need this to have 36,000. Okay, 36,000 at 6% interest. All right, his payment is $695.98 a month. Okay, all right, $695.98 a month. Now he could pay it off sooner than that, but let's just say he takes all 5 years to pay that back. Here's how much interest he would actually pay if he wasn't prepaying. $5,758. Is your mind churning? Is your mind turning here? Okay. Are you actually seeing if he puts that 36, he's not using it. He could take that money, put it on his mortgage, save himself $71,000 in interest, knock off 4.5 years. And if he has to use his emergency fund, all $36,000, when he goes back to work, he can pay it back over 5 years. Even if it takes him 5 years, it's only going to cost him $5,758.80. Folks, those people who are proponents of keeping cash in the bank because you don't want to borrow money because of the interest you would pay, they're not telling you what the numbers are. I'm showing you what the numbers are. And in this case, the interest, if he took all 5 years, the interest he would pay is $5,758.80. By keeping the cash in the bank, he was avoiding paying $5,758 in interest by keeping the money in the bank. But by keeping the money in the bank, so I had to ask him the question. Is this: would you pay $71,000 in order to save you $5,758? Would you pay $71,000 in order to save yourself $5,700? He said no. I said that's exactly what you were doing. Because you didn't want to borrow the money for emergency funds, because you didn't want to have to pay $5,758 in interest, you were willing to pay your bank $71,000 in interest on your mortgage so that you can keep $36,000 in a savings account making pennies. Ladies and gentlemen, does that make sense to you? Yes or no? Tamara Staley says, this is blowing her mind. Okay? This is blowing her mind. Steve Mack says, fire. He's got hands raised. Ladies and gentlemen, are you getting this? We have been sold a bill of goods by not understanding the power of leveraging someone else's money when you could do it right. Man, oh man, cash is not king. Cash is a pawn in this game. Okay, borrowing somebody else's money, you know, the most powerful piece on the board is the queen anyway. Borrowing money the right way, leveraging somebody else's money is queen. Cash is a pawn in this game, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let people fool you that you've got to have a lot of cash sitting on the sideline to feel good. Paying back your mortgage in your own time, in your own strategies, in the way that you know that you could save you the most amount of money is better than keeping that money in the bank. If you have debt, you have no business keeping a lot of money just sitting in the bank making pennies. Does this make sense to you guys? So that's kind of talking. That's what we have to say about emergency funds, keeping cash. And I just want to know, do you guys agree with that? If you agree with what I was saying, put a number 9 in the chat. If you disagree with what I was saying, put a number 5 in the chat. If you agree with it, put a number 9 in the chat. If you disagree, put a number 5 in the chat this morning. All right, go ahead. Let's see what you got to say, because I'm telling you, folks, this is killer when it comes. So Rhainita says, listen, number 9. Tamara says number 9. They agree. Thank you so very much for watching us on Facebook, and on another Facebook user says number 9, and with some hand claps. Okay, this is what we're talking about, folks. But you have to be able to manage all of this. What we have at the P.I.L.L method is a cloud-based AI computing platform that keeps track of all of this for you. Oh my goodness. If you want to know more about how you can manage your money better with our systems, okay? If you want to know how you can do that better with our systems, let me go ahead and show you something here. All right. And you want to get a savings and an earnings report today. Get your savings and earnings report today. All right. Let me put this on the screen. All right. Get a savings and earnings report today. You want to go to ice10k.com. ice10k.com. I'm going to put it at the top of the screen here. All right. ice10k.com. I'm going to put it in my up in Clubhouse here. We're going to pin the link. ICE, the number 10, the letter K.com. There we go. There's the link. Get a savings and earnings report. Not only will you'll know the month, day, and year you could be debt free and how much interest you could save. You will also get coaching like this, so that you will not make huge financial mistakes by keeping too much money in the bank, making you pennies, when you could use that bank money to save you tens of thousands of dollars. In other words, if you listen to Benjamin Franklin, a penny saved is a penny earned. I just showed you in this situation how $71,000 saved should be also considered $71,000 earned. That's how much it was costing him to keep that kind of money in the bank. All right. So let me take a look at what I've got here. All right. I got a bunch of number 9s. Also, Jewel Nam says, does the strategy work on a car note repayment? You better believe it. All right. So when we take a look at all of this, Jewel, we take a look at all of your debt. The average family has 13 different debts, So what we do at the P.I.L.L method is we want you to put everything in, all right? All your credit cards, your mortgage, your student loans, your car loans, everything that carries interest, you need to put it in there. We show you how on average you can pay all of it off in 7 to 9 years. Now, some people take a little bit more time. Some people are a little bit less time. Okay. But here's the thing. The average is 7 to 9. Well, what if we can't pay off? What if we can't pay everything off for 10 years? Does it really matter? 10 is better than 30. What if it takes us 12? Yeah, 12 is still better than 30. What if we, instead of saving $200,000 in interest, we only save $175,000 in interest? Yeah, that's better than giving the bank that $175,000. Do you hear what I'm saying? Each family is going to be different. Each business will be different. If you have a church that is in debt, do you realize that your church can be debt-free in about 5 years without extra giving from the members? Oh my goodness. You might want your pastor to see this one. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're talking about this morning. if you like what you're hearing, then we have a #1 best-selling book where this all starts. All right. We had a bunch of books sold to Canada the other day. Somebody in Canada bought over 40 books. All right. Or someone or some persons bought over 40 books just what's today? Wednesday? Yes, on Tuesday, bought over 40 books. Thank you very much for that. But this book is the only book on Amazon. All right. Go to ice10k.com, find that link that says buy the book, find the link on our ice10k.com card, and then get the book. Get the book today. It is the only book out of 33 million titles on Amazon that talks about this subject. That's it. That's what's happening. All right. So now the last thing I want to talk to you about is becoming an affiliate. Now we're sending out emails to everyone right now. All right. If you want to get on our email list, it's very easy. All right. If you want to get on our email list, it's very easy. Go to ice10k.com and you'll find the link, that goes to our website. Go to our website, scroll down, and get a free chapter of my book. Once you get a free chapter of my book, all right, then you're automatically in our email list. And every time we send out an email, you'll get notified. So right now we're sending out notifications for everyone that's on the list that wants to become an affiliate. Our affiliate program is the most lucrative affiliate program I've ever heard of. And I'm proud to say that we have it here. Right. So go there, ice10k.com, become an affiliate. It takes about 15 seconds to fill out. It's absolutely free. And what you can do there is make between $300 and $3,000 a month by sharing what we are talking about here today. And how do you share it? You don't have to sell it. You don't even have to explain it. We have over 230 shows up on YouTube right now. If the person you are referring to us has at least $100,000 in debt, those are the people we want you to refer to us. If they have at least $100,000 in debt, then send them, if they want to know how to get out of debt cheaper and faster, send them over to our YouTube channel. Let them watch some of those videos and then follow up with them in no more than 2 days. No more than 2 days. Follow up with them and then find out if they want to know more. If they do, go back to ice10k.com, go back there, and you'll see another button, refer a friend. Refer a friend. Send in their information to us. Put your name where it says who referred them. Put your name in there and your phone number. All right. It locks it into you. Once that person becomes a client, we will send you out $300. It's just that simple. It is the most lucrative program on the planet. Look who came into the room trying to sneak in here and not even raise her hand. All right. I haven't talked to her in like forever. All right. Miss Coffee Brown. Miss Coffee Brown, listen, I don't have an engineer today, and somehow my volume from Clubhouse is not getting out to everybody. So if you can you speak to us today a little bit?
Good morning, Don. How are you?
I miss you too. I miss you too. And so if you could talk just a little bit louder for us, I'm trying to boost the volume, but somehow it's not boosting for us. But I'm glad to see you.
I'm glad to see you too. It's always an honor and a privilege to be in the same space that you're in. I said, let me see if I can catch Don while I'm out with this brisk walk that I'm taking this morning. So I wanted to catch you and see how things were, and I see you're still spreading the wealth of wisdom that God has granted you. I love that. You're so amazing. I so appreciate you.
Well, thank you so very much. We just went over some stuff today. We're talking about emergency funds and how you could actually borrow funds cheaper than keeping several $1,000s sitting in the bank making 0.1%. So we're going over different strategies on how to use borrowed money cheaper than cash. How about that?
Listen, whatever makes the money grow is what makes the money grow. And that's what we need to be focused on, making that money grow, making babies.
That is so right. The money making babies. Go ahead. While you're here, take a little bit of time and introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Of course. First of all, I'm excited to be in the building. As you can see, Donna's an amazing phenom in its own right. I am Coach P. Coffee Brown, and my specialty is adding value in the space of publishing. We are a 10-time best-selling publishing house and getting ready to release a number of projects before the end of the year. If you want to know more about what I do, how I do it, when I do it, how you can participate in it, you can click on my face and connect with me via Instagram. Unfortunately, the bad channel here still is iffy sometimes, but if you'd like to connect, if you have a thought in your mind and you want to get that idea on paper, or you want to generate some additional income simply by introducing your community to ours, we would love to add value to you in that capacity. So just DM me. Let's see how we can work together. John, back to you, champion.
Thank you so much, Coffee. Steve, I see you come to the stage. All right. What's on your mind this morning? Talk loud.
Hey, how you doing? Just supporting, populating the room.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming up. So anybody else wants to come up and do just that. If you have a red ticket and you're in here, that means you're not a member of this house. If you would like to be, go ahead and click on P.I.L.L method at the top of the room. All right. And we're going to get back to what we were talking about earlier, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to show you something about sinking funds. Have you heard about sinking funds? Now, Coffee, I had to tell the folks that we were talking about sinking funds. This show was already scheduled before that news came out about Mr. Dave Ramsey being sued. So we're not doing this in response to that.
Is he being sued?
I'm sorry?
Is he being sued?
Yes, look it up. It's all over the news agencies. It's all over the news agencies. But I want everybody to know that I'm not going to be answering any questions about that. I just want people to know that we were going to talk about emergency funds and sinking funds before that news came out. All right. So it wasn't in response to that. So here's what we're going to be talking about next. I want to talk about sinking funds, and I'm going to go to my YouTube channel. All right. We're going to go to YouTube. I'm putting it on the screen. If you're new to the room, all right, if you're new to the room and you want to know more about what we're saying, what we're talking about, and you want to see it, go to YouTube on a secondary device if you're here on Clubhouse. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about, what I want to show you is sinking funds, SINKING. All right. Sinking funds, FUNDS. All right. Sinking funds explained. Sinking funds for beginners, sinking fund categories, sinking funds 2023, sinking funds budget. All right. Sinking funds are popular, ladies and gentlemen. And listen, here's some of the videos that are on sinking funds. What are sinking funds? 6 sinking funds you need. How to budget your money. Here is a quick down and dirty explanation of sinking funds. You would put in your bank account, you would set aside monies for different things. Have you ever heard of a Christmas club, everybody? If you've heard of Christmas clubs, put a number 9 in the chat right now. If you've heard of Christmas clubs before, put a number 9 in the chat. Go ahead. All right. So here's what a Christmas club means. People are putting away money all year, so that a certain amount of money each week out of the paycheck. And then at the end of the year, they would have their Christmas fund to go Christmas shopping. Okay. So that's what a Christmas club would be. A sinking fund is similar to that, but it's for other kinds of stuff as well. Let's just say you have a sinking fund set aside for, in case your appliances break down. You have cash available in the bank to either fix or replace. All right. You have a sinking fund in case your car breaks down. There's a sinking fund for cars. You're going to have some cash available. And the reason why you do that is because you don't want to put it on a credit card because you'll have to pay interest. Okay. Folks, let me tell you something. If you have a mortgage, if you have student loans, if you have other types of debt, then sinking funds really aren't for you. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you can take that money and help you to pay down your debt. And I'm going to show you what that means. But here's how popular these sinking funds are. I saw a video not too long ago where a person had 18 different sinking funds. And in one of those sinking funds, they had over $10,000 in cash sitting in a sinking fund, and they had 18 different ones for things, all the kinds of cash available. Now, some people put it in envelopes, some people will put it in a shoebox, some people have 18 different bank accounts that they'll keep it in, or in this case, 6 sinking funds, which would mean 6 bank accounts or 6 envelopes that they keep this cash in. All right. And if they have that cash available, a sinking fund, what we say at the P.I.L.L method is that sinking funds are not thinking funds. Sinking funds are not thinking funds because they're just sitting there mindlessly, sitting in the bank, making you pennies. Now, if you were in here before and you saw our example a little while ago on emergency funds, sinking funds are just as bad if you don't know what you're doing. Setting all that cash aside, there are things, listen, what we do at our house is we use credit cards. Now, we have also cash available. I want to make this very clear. Credit cards are not for people who don't have resources. If you don't have resources, don't use credit cards. If you don't have resources, don't use credit cards. So here's what I'm saying. For you people who can do sinking funds and emergency funds, that means you have resources. You have money that you can pay these cards off at any time. Okay? So you want to have some cash available. I didn't say you don't want to have no cash available. You want to have some cash available. All right? But for the most part, you want to be able to go to your credit card for emergencies, and I'll tell you why. All right. Now, my wife and I, we keep about $10,000 available, but the rest of this money is used in different ways to save us money and interest. All right. So if we have a credit card balance, and I don't mind carrying a balance. There are a lot of people who pay off these credit cards, and I'm going to show you a little something about carrying a balance on a credit card in just a little bit. It is not as bad as most people make it out to be. I'm going to show you the real numbers behind this thing. So if you put money on a credit card and you're able to pay it off at any time, you are in a good position. But because you can pay it off doesn't necessarily mean that you should pay it off immediately. What? Don, what are you saying? I've had people tell me I've never paid any interest on a credit card, ever. All right. So let's break it down this way, ladies and gentlemen. Let's break it down this way. What is really going on here? If I have a sinking fund for my car, if I have a sinking fund for my house, if I have a sinking fund for Christmas, if I have a sinking fund for vacations, if I have a sinking fund for this thing, if I have a sinking fund for that thing, I got all of this cash sitting on over here on top of people who do sinking funds also do emergency funds. They have another total different thing for account for 6 months. 6 months of cash just sitting in the bank, making 0.1% just in case something goes terribly wrong and they can't work for a while. So they got the sinking funds and they got the emergency funds sitting over there. So they have resources. These people who have resources could also be using their credit card. Oh my goodness. Do you know that my credit card is my go-to card? My credit card is my everyday card. My debit card is my emergency card. Why is my debit card my emergency card? Because of this. You can't invest money if you've spent your money. If you use your debit card all the time, that means you're using your cash and you can't also invest that money. You can't do both. If I use my credit card, then that allows me to invest my cash to make money. But Don, aren't you paying interest on your credit card? Can I show you a little bit of something about using your, about paying interest on a credit card? Can I show you a little something about that? If you want to see the difference, if you want to see what's going on with that, put a number 7 in the chat. Put a number 7 in the chat, how we can use our credit cards, all right, to for our sinking funds that's going to end up saving us a lot of money in the long run. If you want to see this, go to YouTube. I'm going to put it on the screen for you. And this will literally blow your mind when you see it. All right. So I've got, listen, remember I said we keep about $10,000 cash on hand. All right. But we use our other monies for other stuff. Listen, I gotta have my money working. Like I got to have my money making babies. Okay. My money has to be making babies, just like Coffee Brown said. All right. So if you want to see this, go to YouTube. So I'm going to put on, so we did have sinking funds on here. So I'm going to add another Brett Whistle here. I'm going to have $10,000. All right. I'm going to have it at a whopping 27%. What? Now, when you put a credit card into an amortization schedule, you can't have 360 days, 360 monthly payments. A credit card is amortized over 240 months. It's different, 240 months. So $10,000 in at 27%. All right. Now, if you have, let's say you have got a mortgage, you've got some student loans, you've got some other debt. All right. And you have a $10,000 balance on the credit card, and you have let's say you have a 3% mortgage or a 4% mortgage or a 5% mortgage. Do you know that the experts are telling you that the credit card is worse than your mortgage? Do you realize that? That's what they're saying. Have you heard that? That if you have a $10,000 balance on your credit card at 27%, are they not telling you, you put a yes or a no in the chat, are the expert not telling you to pay that card off immediately? Yes or no? All right. Are they telling you that? Yes or no? Put it in the chat right now. Yes or no? Are they telling you to put it in there? Are they telling you to pay that off? No, Don, they're not. Or yes, Don, they are. Okay. Coffee Brown says thumbs up, thumbs up. That's what they're telling you to do. Tamara, that's what they're telling you to do. So listen, when you're making a decision on this, don't make it on feeling. Don't make it on looking at the numbers. Don't make your decision based on 27% interest without doing the math to know how much interest that actually is. It sounds like a lot, but let me show you what is actually going on with 27%. Remember, if you have the cash, and you could pay this off, all right? Let me show you how much interest you pay in 1 month. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, $225. $225. Okay? That's how much interest I will pay on the credit card that month. But if I have a mortgage, can I switch over here? Can I switch over here to my $400,000 mortgage even at 4%? My interest, it starts out at $1,300. Brother AJ says, good morning, Grand Rising, Don. Grand Rising to you, Brother AJ, watching us on YouTube this morning. So I've got a credit card. That wants to charge me $225 in interest at 27%. But the experts are having me ignore this $1,300 in interest. Well, Don, what if you start out at the beginning? Well, in the first year, it goes for $1,300. The second year is $1,300. The third year goes down to $1,200. All right, fourth year, fifth year, I'm still at $1,200 in interest. In the sixth year, I'm still at $1,200 in interest. Going into the seventh year, all right, seventh year on the mortgage, I'm still at $1,100. Okay. Let's see. Let's go all the way down to 10 years in this mortgage. 10 years in this mortgage, I'm still paying over $1,000 in interest every month in this mortgage. At 10 years, I've already paid $144,000 in interest in 10 years on this mortgage. And the experts are telling you, to be concerned about $10,000 at 27% when it's only costing you $225. Folks, does that make sense to you? Let me break this down a little bit more.
Ooh, Don, wait a minute.
Come on.
That really does make sense, because every month when you pay your mortgage, there's this big chunk that goes to interest that they kind of don't really talk about. But you are 100% right. That's a significant difference versus what you're paying for a mortgage.
That is right, Coffee Brown. Okay, that is right. So listen to this, everybody. We've been in here an hour and 8 minutes so far. All right. So here's what we're saying about this. I could take my $10,000, pay off my credit card, and I would feel good about the fact that I paid it off and I didn't pay the bank $225 in interest. I could feel good about that. But at the same time, on this mortgage, all right, even at the same time, on this mortgage, ladies and gentlemen, I'm paying over $1,000 a month. Over $1,000 a month. I don't drop down. Let me see. Where do we drop down into at least $900 a month? Oh, yeah. After 139 months. Okay. After 139 months, it drops down to $900 a month. Tamara Staley says, thank you, Don. All right. For dropping these gems. Okay. This is what Tamara says. I'm putting it on the screen. Thank you, Don. She's watching us on YouTube. Listen, folks, if you're watching us on YouTube and if you don't share this information out, you got to share it out to everybody. All right. But before you share it out, become an affiliate. Go to ice10k.com, become an affiliate, share this information with your folks so that when they become a client, I can pay you. Okay. I can pay you between $300 and $3,000 a month for sharing this. All right. Thank you, Tamara, for saying that this morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, even Don, how many years is that? 139 months. So I'll take my 139 divided by 12. There it is. 11 and a half years. 11 and a half years, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to pay over $1,000 in interest for 11 and a half years. Okay. I've already, in 11 and a half years, I paid $163,000 in interest. While the people are telling me, Don, I am so proud of the fact that I never, ever pay interest on my credit cards. But they're not thinking about this at all. How in the world did we get so bamboozled that we're not looking at the amount of interest that we're paying on the mortgage, but we let people talk us into saving interest on the credit cards like the credit card is the devil? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Help me out here. Does that make sense to you? Tell everybody that they need to be tuning into the P.I.L.L method to get their information. Because what the other gurus are telling them is completely out of whack. It is not even in the realm of reality that we should disregard, not pay attention to the interest cost on these mortgages so that we can pay off a loan, a credit card. Lord have mercy. So here's what I want to tell you, folks. Now, am I saying you shouldn't pay off a credit card sooner? No. I'm not saying that at all. But there is a way to do it so that your credit card is paid off faster, but you don't have to ignore paying all that interest on the mortgage as well. What if you had a computer program that would lead you like financial GPS that's powered by artificial intelligence that could tell you when to put money on the credit card and when to put money on the mortgage to save you. All right. Thank you very much, Coffee Brown, for being here this morning. Listen, folks, follow Coffee and click on her link and listen, whatever she's talking about, and you want to be in her room. But I thank you so very much for being here. As long as you were here, Coffee, we appreciate you. She's got to run, everybody. So, folks, here's what I'm saying. All right, don't listen to the financial gurus unless they can show you the numbers like we're showing you today. We show you the numbers so it makes sense. They're talking a good game. It sounds like what they're saying is right because they're throwing around terms like 27% interest. But let me show you something. Let me ask you a question here. All right. So I got $10,000 here. I could pay it off. All right. And save $225 in interest. Or I could go to this mortgage. I could put $10,000 on this mortgage and knock off 17 months off the mortgage and save $21,000. But that's at 4%. That's not even realistic today. Let me change it to today because I used this example a few years ago. Today is 6%, at least 6%. Here's our new payment. All right. $2,398.20 a month. All right. If I put $10,000 on this mortgage, I knock off 24 months, 2 years. 2 years I knock off and save $45,000 in interest I don't need to pay. Ladies and gentlemen, here's my last and final question on this point. Would you be willing to pay $225 in interest in order for you to save $45,000 in interest? You let me know. This is the kind of thing we get tied up into. We hear something, but we hear it over and over and over again, and it begins to sound like the truth. When in fact, when we stop to think about it, no one has ever proved it to us that this was the truth. They've never showed us the numbers. Any financial guru that you think of that's out there, that's popular today, that they got radio shows, they've got television shows, they've got books, they've got tens of thousands of followers. Okay, we have 7,000 followers on our YouTube channel. We're trying to get more, but they have tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, millions of followers, and the millions of followers are getting fed this type of financial information. Folks, I need you to help me get the information out. Go to ice10k.com. Go to ice10k.com and sign up to become an affiliate. Okay. And so, folks, don't look to get a phone call. Don't look to listen. We have hundreds of people signing up. All right. I'm giving you the instructions on what to do here, because we have too many people signing up to become an affiliate for us to call individually. All right. Now, if you call as an affiliate, if you call the office and ask for a little help, we can set you up with an appointment, and then we can give you some individual, a little bit of individual time, but we're not going to call each and every one that signs up for an affiliate. All you have to do is find someone who is tired of doing what they're doing, tired of doing this, tired of doing that, and not getting anywhere. All right. And then once you find that person that wants to do something different, send them over to our YouTube channel so they can watch a few videos. When they watch those videos, follow up with them no longer than 2 days. Find out if they want to know more. And then if they do, fill out the card. Go to ice10k.com, go back to ice10k.com. And then what you do is click on refer a friend. Refer them to us. Right? Once you refer them to us, put their name, put their phone number, put their zip code in, but where it says who referred them, put your name and your phone number in there. That way it's linked to you. And when they become a client, we'll pay you $300 for that one. If they send you $300, if you send us a second one in the same month and they become a client, that will pay you $400 for that one. The next one will pay you $500 for that one. The next one, if you send us a fourth one in the same month, we'll pay you $600 for that one. And if you send us a fifth one in the same month that becomes a client, we'll double the 600 and make the fifth one $1,200 for a total of $3,000 in 1 month just for sharing good news. Come on, everybody. You can't get better than that. We just have a new client that came on yesterday that was referred to us, and that person is going to get $300 for sharing that information. Listen, folks, advertising costs us money. I would much rather advertise with you. I would much rather give you the advertising dollars than give it to the television station, the radio station, to give it. I could give it to Facebook. I could give it to YouTube to advertise. I would much rather give it to you. All right. How does that sound, everybody? So here's what we're doing, folks. We have been here 1 hour and 18 minutes. But I want you to see, we're talking about sinking funds. I want to finish this part up. All right. It doesn't make sense. Here's what you could do if you have a little bit of cash on the side. Your other cash is either invested or killing debt. So you want to find out the right amount of money that can kill debt. And you want to find out the right amount of money that you can invest. All right. But you do want to keep just a little bit of cash on the side to knock off credit cards if you need to, because you're using them as sinking funds. All right. Sinking funds. So we also found out that if you pay off a credit card too soon, you're losing an opportunity to pay off a debt that's costing you more money, even though the interest rate is smaller. All right. So don't get fooled into that trap. Listen, I'm not asking any of you to try to figure all of this out on your own. We have what we call an opportunity cost calculator. All right. It is the only AI-powered cloud-based computing platform in the world for this purpose, saving you money on interest and getting you out of debt in an average of 7 to 9 years. It guides you like financial GPS. It's based on information you feed into the program every month about your finances, and it gives you up-to-date instructions on what to do or not to do. It's the most fantastic thing on the planet. Some people call it fintech. Financial technology. All right. AI powered finances at your fingertips, saving you tens and even hundreds of thousands of dollars you don't need to pay the bank. And therefore, you're out of debt in about 7 years. Go to ice10k.com and get your savings and earnings report today. So here's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It's right here on the screen. If you want to see it, go to YouTube and click on this. So I've got this sinking fund here. All right. I want to use my $10,000 correctly. Here's what you could do. I love this. My bride and I, not too long ago, went to Dubai, and we flew business class on points. If you go to our, the P.I.L.L Method Instagram page, okay, just go to Instagram and search P.I.L.L Method. It'll come up. You will see how they take care of you in business class on Qatar or Qatar Airways. Okay, they take great care of you, but we use points. How do we get those points? By using our credit card strategically so that we can get our points practically for free. Whew. Do you know, I buy food with credit cards. I buy gasoline with credit cards. I buy all, listen, everything that I can buy with credit cards, I buy, but it depends on which card I use to get the kind of points that I need to build up to do the things that we want. Our credit cards pay us money. Oh, wow, wow, wow. If you would like that kind of coaching, did you know that if you're a P.I.L.L Method client, it's not just about getting out of debt. It's also about building wealth. Building wealth. It's also about using your finances strategically. Therefore, you get a coach assigned to you as well. Coaching is very much a part of what we do. Education is what we do. So most people think we're a technology company, when in fact, we're an education company. It's the education that drives using the technology better to become efficient using the technology. You need the education to do that because your old ideas about finances does not work in this new technology. It doesn't work. It's like putting, new wine in old wineskins. You don't want to do that. You want to use the new financial education with this technology. And we give you a coach that will actually help you to learn the new financial education. Because the old financial education is telling you to use cash for all of these things, and not, okay, I see just somebody else just became an affiliate. Thank you very much for signing up. You know what to do. Start sharing this information. All right. If you want to know how this program works for you, fill out, get your savings and earnings report done, and know the month, day, and year you can be debt free. All right. So, folks, listen, we're coming up on an hour and a half, but by me running the whole show by myself, I think I'm going to keep it to around an hour and a half instead of the full 2 hours. Will that be okay with you? Will that be okay? So here's what I need you to understand about sinking funds. Let's go back. Let's go back here. All these videos about people talking about sinking funds, and here's the main person talking about sinking funds. Okay, main person talking about sinking funds right there. Okay, and all of these people who've taken that information and built up sinking funds, savings plans, baby step, all right, all the baby steps involved, sinking funds, here's a guy right here that's talking about, keeping money in the banks. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Here's a guy right here talking about it. It says, ice your money. All right. And it'll make you 200% ROI, 200% ROI. So we're going to finish with that. So I think I've told you enough about how putting money in the bank is not doing very much for you. Let me show you on this mortgage at 6%, $400,000 at 6%. If you want, you definitely want to see this, because this is going to be our last example for today. We're going to do several of these with this idea, taking your cash and not just sitting it in the bank. If you want to see this, go to YouTube right now on a secondary device so you can see and look for P.I.L.L Method and click on our live. All right. You want to see this. So I'm showing you, if you have money available in this situation, the very first payment, $2,000 is going to interest. And I'm going to do some math for you on the screen. If your first payment is in January, your second principal payment would be $400 in February. If you prepay it, meaning giving it to the bank early, all right? If you prepay it, then here is what you can figure out, all right? You're going to save $1,998 and a penny in interest that you won't have to pay. So if you're going to save $1,998 and a penny, you divide it by your $400, divided by $400 and 19 cents. if you prepay that, now that's money sitting in the bank making 1/10 of 1%. Take the money out of the bank, put it on your mortgage, and that's a 499% return on your money. 500% return on your money. Taking money out of the bank that's making 1/10 of 1% on a $400,000 mortgage at 6%. That's what it is these days, ladies and gentlemen. If you can take $400 out of the bank and save yourself nearly $2,000 in interest, that's nearly a 500% return on your money, ROI. So let me show you what it would be. Let me show you what would happen. These are just numbers I'm pulling out of the hat. Our program tells you exactly what to do and when. But let me show you what would happen if you had significant resources, where this would be $4,912.02, that if you were to give the bank their money every single month, all right, every single month. There's nothing sacred about paying every month, by the way. Nothing sacred at all. But if you pay them every month on time, you will pay this loan down by $4,912.02, but it will cost you $23,866.38 in interest to do it. Do you want to pay $23,800 for $4,900 worth of equity? No, you do not. Okay. So what if you have the resources to prepay that? You choose. Now, most people would think it's extra money. It is not extra money. You're choosing to pay back your loan in a way that the bank is not expecting. If you borrowed $400,000 in principal, you will pay back $400,000 in principal plus interest. Okay? But the principal does not change. So you're not paying extra. What you're doing is you're taking control of your loan and paying it in a time frame that is impossible for them to charge you interest. Man, I am so sick and tired of people saying, yeah, don't pay extra to your mortgage. What do you mean extra? You borrowed the money. There's nothing sacred about paying monthly, and we have deified it. Okay? We actually need to vilify it. We have deified paying monthly so that we could do something else, because people are calling this low interest mortgages. They're not low interest mortgages. They are a high cost item. They're the highest cost thing that you have, is all of this money going. You want to make 200% or more on your money? Watch this. If you could prepay this $4,912.02, if you could pay that on line 1, do you realize you'd be paid down to line 12 in 1 month? Your next mortgage payment for February, if you started in January, your next mortgage for February would actually be on line 13 of your schedule. You just wiped out a whole year, practically a whole year of interest, by putting the $4,912.02 on your mortgage in 1 month. Man, oh man, let's do the math. Okay, this is not magic. It's just math. I would save about $21,800. So let's go ahead and put that money in there. $21,888.84 divided by the amount we prepaid, $49,1202. All right, we're going to prepay $49,12.02. Look at this. 445% return on your money. 445% return on your money. Folks, I hope this has been beneficial to you today. I hope this has been educational for you today, to stop listening to the gurus who are not proving to you what they're saying is true. At the P.I.L.L method, we show you the numbers. We show you the numbers. And isn't this the way it should be? Isn't this the way we should have been taught even in 8th grade? I haven't shown you anything that an 8th grader cannot do or understand, but it's not being taught to us. It has been left out of our curriculum. So folks, we're dedicated to making sure that this information gets out to you. So what are we going to do about it? Okay. We're going to show you what we're going to do about it in this last few minutes. All right. All right. Get your P.I.L.L method book today. All right. Go to ice10k.com, get your P.I.L.L method book. Start teaching young people this information. Your young people, your sons, your daughters, your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren. You start teaching them. Show them these videos. All right. All right. They're watching stuff that you don't want them to see. Okay. So get them watching some of this, little snippets of it. All right. Use that book to help them to understand what's really going on. All right, with their money, so that when they get grown, they won't have to be retrained. They won't have to be, they won't have to be, you won't have to unlearn stuff. You'll be able to learn stuff that will actually make you a millionaire off the money you're no longer paying the bank if you invest it properly. How about that? That's what young people could learn today. They could learn that from you. Use the book to do that. All right. Also, all right, it is an Amazon bestseller. All right. Just so you know that it is an Amazon #1 bestseller over 6 times, a #1 bestseller over 6 times. What you also want to do is get a savings and earnings report. Okay, go to ice10k.com, get a savings and earnings report today. You can know the month, day, and year you can be debt free, how much interest you can save. All right. But let me explain to you how easy it is to do that. Once you go to ice10k.com, click on you want to get a savings and earnings report, and then you have to put in your contact information and your cell phone number. When you put in your cell phone number, make sure there are no spaces when you're putting in your cell phone number. Make sure there's no spaces. So we're supplying the +1. Make sure your phone number is right next to that 1, just like this. No spaces, just like that. Put phone number right next to that 1. And when you do that, then when you confirm your phone number, then we're going to send you a text. So click that button once. Wait for the text. When you get that text, it'll be a code. Take the code, put it back into the website, confirm the code, and then the program will let you know that your phone number has been confirmed. Make sure you have all the rest of your information in, and then click the button that says, yes, I want to save. Right down here. Yes, I want to save. So when you click that, yes, I want to save, you'll be led into our financial form. Now, to get all the way into the financial form, there's a little CAPTCHA. So you just have to retype the word that in the middle of the screen. Retype that word, and it'll let you into the financial form. Once you get the financial form will tell you exactly what information we need. Once we get that, then someone from the staff will give you a call and confirm the information. Once it's confirmed, then we will let you know the month, day, and year you could be debt free and how much interest you could save. And what pays for your program is a small percentage of your interest savings. All right, that pays for the program. But they're going to set you up with a consultation so that you can learn all about your particular situation. Once you get that consultation set up, it costs $150 to get a consultation, but it is 100% money back guaranteed. What do I mean by that? You can pay $150 for a consultation. If you don't get $150 worth of benefit out of that meeting, you just say so. Before the end of the meeting, we will push the button and send the $150 right back to you. It is simple as that. You have nothing to lose by getting your savings and earnings report for free, getting your consultation for $150. And if you don't feel that you got the value, we'll give you the $150 back. Simple, just like that. So, folks, now here's the last thing. Here's the last thing I want you to do is go to ice10k.com and become an affiliate. Do that today. Become an affiliate today, and we will be able to help you Let me get this off the screen. So we're done with this today. All right. So we will help you do the things that you have to do. All right. To become an affiliate. We'll help you to know the month, day, and year you could be debt free. We'll help you to get the book and start teaching your children. We'll even give you a coach that can coach you on all of this. The coaching is worth the price of admission all by itself. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. I can't wait to start talking to each and every one of you on a personal level. So go ahead, contact us, and you'll get that. But I want to share with you before we go, Dr. Eric Thomas, who, by the way, became a P.I.L.L Method client using P.I.L.L Method information, paid off his mortgage, and made his wife feel a whole lot better. All right. And you'll actually see him on our ICE 10K card. And you'll also, we just added another video to the ICE 10K card. So you just click the little dots and you'll be able to see 2 videos on our card, ice10k.com. All right. So we're getting ready to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back on Friday. And on Friday, bring your questions. On Friday, bring your questions, because Friday is Finance Fridays. We're doing volume 2, all right, on Finance Fridays, where we answer your questions. Bring your questions. The whole show is about you. And we're going to have that up in just a little bit so that you can register your seat, let everybody know that you want to be there, and so that you can be notified when we go live. So we're going to put that on as have your questions ready. All right. Because the whole show is about your questions and ICE answering your questions. All right. I'm glad to do it. So here we go. Our last word is going to be Dr. Eric Thomas, and then we're out for today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. We'll see you next time. We'll see you on Friday when we answer your questions.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.